This is Coach Jason Ballard, and I'm a business wingman. Over the years, I've learned a lot from working in our family construction business, serving as a senior officer in the United States Air Force, and running 12 different organizations around the world. Many people helped me get to where I am today, and it's my mission in life to serve as a personal wingman to others. That's what this podcast is all about, providing knowledge, tools, resources, and mentorship to help people soar to their highest altitude. Welcome back to the Soar Higher podcast. This is your host, Coach Jason Ballard, and it's a real privilege to be with you today. Got another exciting topic, another exciting episode in store for you today where I think you're going to learn a lot about something that is probably on the minds of leaders all over the world, things that the leaders are struggling with consistently at every level in every organization. So today we're going to be talking about how to simplify things and make really good decisions. It's a fast paced, fast moving world that we live in. The demands, the expectations are continuing to become more of a force to be dealt with. The more demands are being placed on us to do things faster, um, easier, and just deal with an array of just a lot of complicated things. It's not getting easier; it's getting harder. We have a global economy. We have politics. We have bosses that come and go. There are lots and lots of dynamics that make up our daily lives and our workplace environment that sometimes feels overwhelming. Sometimes it feels complicated. Um, and you just it's hard to understand what's going on. It's hard to prioritize these things. It's hard to keep things organized and straight. And so today, I'm going to provide you with some tools and resources on how to simplify things, even in chaos, even in times when it's very stressful and frustrating and just lack clarity. When things aren't going well, and even when things are going well, you always need clarity as a leader. You always need to find a way to simplify things, break things down so you can understand it and make the best decisions possible. So today, I want to introduce you to a concept I learned in the military. When I went through leadership training as an officer, I learned this concept called the Ooda Loop. OODA, the Ooda Loop. What in the heck is the OODA loop? Most people haven't really heard of that, and a lot of military people have, of course, but a lot of folks that have never experienced the military before aren't familiar with this concept. So, what does OODA loop mean? What does it stand for? So, OODA. The first O is for observe. That means you're taking in information, you're kind of watching situations, monitoring things, things that are happening that are supposed to be happening, things that are happening that may not uh, be supposed to be happening. You're just taking in the information from the people, the systems, the tools, and you're getting fed information. The other O, the second O in OODA loop, is called orient. That's where you take the information from the observe and you break that down and start understanding that information. You're doing some analysis, you're doing some conversations around that, you're looking at some data components. Where did this information come from? How relevant is it? How do we know if it's accurate or not? You're kind of making sense of the observe area, right? You're observing it, you're taking it in, and then you're orienting yourself around it and validating those things and kind of running that through some filters and making sure that the information being presented is actually accurate and correct. Okay. The D in OODA Loop stands for decide. So you observe, you orient, and you decide. Decide means you take action. You have enough information to make a decision, to move something forward, to go left, to go right, to go up, to go down, to do whatever you need to do. You're making an informed decision. And then the last letter of OODA Loop is the A, and the A stands for act, meaning once you've decided to do something and you put something into play, you're actually, the act part is executing the plan, following through, making sure that whatever intention, whatever outcome you're trying to get out of, the plan you put in place is actually happening. You're getting the desired results that you're looking for. And this is a cycle, right? If you were to look at this on a graphic or something, it would be in a cyclical fashion. The cycle repeats itself over and over depending on the conditions and the environment and how things are progressing through this process. That's a little bit about OODA Loop. So let me kind of break it down even farther for you, right? So where did this come from and why is this important? How is it even effective? How do we know it's effective? Well, it was developed back in the 1970s by an Air Force colonel named John Boyd. And as he was coming out of, some of the most recent wars, the Korean War, and then into the Vietnam War, he had noticed some things from being a leader, from being out there in combat zones, that when engaged in combat, whether it's on the ground or on the sea or in the air or in space or cyber or wherever you may be engaged in a conflict, the people that can take in information on what's going on in the battle space. The battle space is being conducted. You've got a good group of people and a bad group of people, and they're going against each other in a war, in a battle. The group of people that can execute the things on the battle space can pull in information, process that information as it's being executed, and analyze that, process that, continue to take in the information in a continuous manner from numerous feeds. That can be, from a military standpoint, that can be a satellite feed of information. That can be an unmanned vehicle, like a drone, providing them information, imagery, video. It could be human beings on the ground telling a decision maker what's going on. This happened. We've taken this territory, or we've got pushed back to this point on the battle space, or we're running out of ammo, or we're, out of position over here, being flanked over there, whatever that may be, is that you're taking in this information from different sources. This could be technology. This can be all kinds of different sensors and feeds, human or mechanical or technological, that's feeding information, and you can take that in, you can process that, you can look at the parts and the pieces, you can put all the parts and pieces together and connect those dots and analyze that and measure that and make decisions on that and act upon that. And what Colonel Boyd found is that the group of people on the battle space that can pull in information, process that information, and make the best quality decisions faster than their opponent will win the battle and ultimately win the war. And that has been proven time and time and time again. Why do you think our military of today is so technologically advanced with stealth fighters and sensors and satellites and all the wonderful technologies that we have? It's because we maintain that technological edge that can better manage the battles, manage the wars, process the information, and help us make the best possible decisions. Well, if you think about it, life is the same way. Certainly, business is the same way. Business is like being in the military. It's a competition. There's your business against maybe a neighboring business or a number of businesses in your town, maybe different businesses in your region, maybe different businesses in your country or even globally, right? Business is a competition. You have products and services that hopefully somebody need, that bring value to somebody, and you're trying to get those in the hands of the people that need those things. But other people have those same types of products and services, maybe different, maybe not exactly the same, but it's a competition, and you've got to compete against them. You've got to differentiate against them. And so you, as a business leader, you have a couple different things you need to be paying attention to. One, you need to understand what's going on in your business. There's internal Ooda Loop, and there's an external OODA loop. Internally, as a leader, you need to know how things are going, how your people are performing, what is working, what is not working across the span of your business. That could be your marketing, that could be your sales, that can mean your customer service, that can mean how well your teams are communicating and executing and delivering on time and on budget. So there's internal OODA loop of things you've got to be paying attention to. You got to manage that. You got to lead through that because no day is perfect. No company is perfect. Things are going to happen. Unexpected things are going to happen that you didn't plan for. And so there's this brewing of activities that's planned for and not planned for. As people come and go, as technology works one day and it doesn't the next, it creates challenges. It creates opportunities for you to have to make decisions, important decisions, critical decisions. So there's the internal component that as a leader, you've got to manage that. You've got to understand that because that means you make decisions based off of your resources, based off of your ability to do things or not be able to do things to the level you may need to. That allows you to make decisions to adjust your resources, deobligate money in one area, put it in another, whatever that may be. Okay. The other side of that coin is your external OODA loop, right? That's where you're paying attention to your customers. What's going on with them? What's going on with your customers? How well is your products and services serving them and their clients and making everybody happy and fulfilling those needs and adding that value, becoming trusted, building those relationships, deepening those relationships with your customers. You also have to deal with vendors and suppliers, and you all have to work together as a team. You have to be on the same page, and there's a lot of different data points you have to pay attention to there. The other thing you need to be paying attention to is the economy. Things like COVID, pandemics, Brexit in England, all kinds of external things that happen in the world, wars, conflicts. There's always something going on in the war that in this global world that we live in, this global economy, will have impact on your ability to operate in the ways that you need to operate. You also need to be paying attention to your competition. What's your competition doing? Are they selling things cheaper than you? Are they delivering? Are they pivoting and making different decisions and going into different market spaces that you're not? Like you understanding that competitive space that you're operating in against your competitors is critical. So there's all these dynamics, internal and external, that are brewing like a perfect storm of things, and you've got to um, be vigilant. You gotta keep your finger on the pulse of those things. And so the OODA loop allows you to be able to simplify those things. It allows you to tweak your systems. It allows you to move through the decision making processes a lot easier, a lot faster, and a lot more dynamically. Because sometimes you need to make fast decisions, and sometimes you need to slow that train down, like hiring people. As they say, always hire slow and fire fast. And I wholeheartedly believe that statement. One of the biggest mistakes, and especially in our workforce today, where there's just a lack of, you know, qualified people out there to meet the needs, and everybody's struggling with finding the right kind of talent for them and their organizations, is that people get nervous. And when they get somebody that's, maybe good, maybe potentially good enough, they will make a fast decision, execute, and bring somebody in that's not fully vetted, because they feel like this is the best they can get, or they settle, they make compromises, and it ends up costing them in the long run. It's a lot more expensive to bring people in, and take them through onboarding and train them and get them up to speed, and then later down the road, lose them, and then you have to start the process over again. It's a lot uh, more painful, and it's a lot more costly to do that over and over, versus taking your time and thinking through this process, um, and making the best decision possible, making the right decision the first time. And so this is not just about making faster decisions. This is about making quality decisions, the right decisions that's in the long term best interest of the organization. And so I wanted to share this because, when I coach people, people struggle with decision making. They struggle with confidence in their decision making. Things happen too fast, it's too dynamic. They get overwhelmed by too many things and kind of get lost in the process. And so I would ask you to consider the OODA loop. Now, you can Google this and you can find some graphics and you can find some information. There's a Wikipedia page about it. There's a Wikipedia page about John Boyd. There's all kind of graphics and some free uh, tools out there on the internet. If you Google this, you can download and kind of help you with this process. If you need, you can reach out through the podcast communications, and we can follow up and give you these things as well. But I want you to sit back a minute and just think, what is my decision making process? Do I have a proven decision making process where I can methodically and logically think through something and be effective? More importantly, be consistent, because consistency in a leadership role sets expectations. It sets the tone. Your decision making is critical, because as a leader, people are paying attention to not only what you do, how you do it, but how you respond to it in the process. They're also paying attention, do you even have a process? Are you a leader that's just very reactive and just kind of makes decisions on the fly? When then you're kind of unpredictable. No group of followers will ever follow a leader into a place where they feel it's chaotic, where they feel there's no plan, there's no process for doing things. And if they perceive the leaders to make irrational decisions, just very quick decisions, just spur of the moment, reactionary kind of decisions, and it creates questions, which erodes trust and how far they will follow you into the fire. And that's something I learned, again, from the military, right? When I was a commander, when I was an officer in the Air Force, we went into all kinds of different places on deployments, right? One of the places that I um, was deployed with my team is Iraq. We were in some different parts of Iraq and different points, and these situations were dangerous. I mean, this is a war zone. There are people running around with guns and rockets and mortars and all kinds of different things to kill you. And there's nothing they'd like to do than to kill an American soldier, American airman, or Marine or sailor, whoever. It was chaotic. The enemy did not fight fair. They were using guerrilla tactics. In the United States military, we have protocols for what we do or don't do in war, and we are um, human about that. Our enemies, they didn't care. There were no rules. There were no protocols. There were no Geneva Conventions. It was do whatever I can do to kill as many Americans as possible. And so these situations were dangerous. I mean, we're armored up with Kevlar vests and helmets and machine guns and just all kinds of different things, kicking down doors and going into some rough places looking for some rough people and providing stability and peace in these different areas of Iraq, allowing the democratic process to take place where we people felt safe to come out of their homes and businesses, where they could elect, go to the election facilities and cast a vote for people that they wanted to lead in their government as they rebuilt Iraq after Saddam Hussein's regime left. And so when I was in Iraq and we would go into some very dangerous missions, I had to make really good decisions, good informed decisions, the best informed decisions based off of intelligence, based off imagery, video, drones, human beings that were in the area that had been there and saw things, and just as much information as I could to know exactly where we're going, when to do it, how to do it, who was going to do what. Everybody has a playbook, everybody knows what they're doing on the team, and then it never went to plan. And the folks that followed me, folks that worked for me, they had to trust me to take them into some of the most dangerous situations in the world and get them back out alive. And so I use this Ooda Loop process to quickly understand what was going on in a chaotic situation. We were pinned down one time in Iraq. There were a lot of bullets flying, a lot of things happening, explosions, and just we got separated. Just a lot of things happened, and we got put in a very bad situation. And because we play, even though we had to break free from the plan and adjust the plan on the fly, I still use this process because part of the planning process ahead of time was setting up how we're going to communicate, who is going to communicate what to who, so that we can all be on the same page no matter how bad things got or how fragmented we became in the process of being separated and pulled apart in these different areas. So I use this process. So I would I would check in, I would talk to people, I would hear what was going on, they'd feed me information, I'd feed them information, then we'd make decisions and move. And that proved to be so valuable and allowed us to get out alive, get out of bad situations that we didn't know were there originally, and to, come back alive and save people's lives, save people from getting injured, save civilian casualties. Same is true in business. Particular project one time I was leading this company, this was a technology company, and we had delivered a particular product to a customer. And after about 2 weeks of working with the customer and putting this technology in their work environment, some things started glitching. We started having some issues, and then those things rippled into some more issues. And before I knew it, we were going back and forth. We worked day and night trying to figure out some of these things. And what we had learned was that the customer's environment was a lot different than the environment we had built it in. And so there were some other dynamics there that they didn't know about, that we didn't know about, that was causing some interference, causing some problems. And so again, very stressful. The customer's unhappy. This was a very big client, multi-million dollar, year client with very high demands, very strict timelines. Things were very sensitive, and we had to react fast to solve these issues, even though they weren't really truly our technology problems that we brought in. These were caused by a mixture of other things that were um, outside of our control, but we still had to provide the solution. And so um, I remember, the team was panicked. They came to me, knocked on the door. Jason, we got this major issue and the customer's mad and we don't know what's going on. We don't know what to do. And so I stopped and I said, okay, what do we know? What exactly is the problem statement here? What are we trying to solve for? What's the information telling us? What's the customer telling us? What is our technology telling us? And let's really gain some truth here. Have we even identified the exact problem? And at that time, we had not. And I said, okay, well, that's where we start. We've got to get to the root problem. And eventually we did. And once we got to the root problem, we analyzed that. Okay, what are our options here? What happened? Why did it happen? And what are our options for potentially dealing with this? And I noticed as I took people through the process, I didn't get reactionary. I didn't allow them to just kind of run off and try things to see if it worked, and compound the problem. We stopped and we started going through a process of identifying the root issue, observing what was going on, listening to the feedback that was coming in. And then we oriented ourselves. We started analyzing this stuff. We started looking at our options, considering the pros and the cons of those options to see which one really was the best fit, the right solution at the right time. And then we made a decision on the best option out of about three different options we have. So we decided, we observed, we oriented, and we decided to take action. We decided to go a certain path. And that path had some risk, and that path had some some concerns, but we also put things into place to mitigate those things and to keep those things from getting out of control so we can continuously learn through that process. And that's when the acting came in. So we observed, we oriented, we decided, and we acted. And once we put that in place, we did it in a very methodical manner where we put some things into place and we saw how they worked. We monitored how that worked, and we didn't do anything else until we know those things that we put into play were working as intended. Then we put some more fix actions in place and we manage that, monitor that, assess that. And we just kept kind of in an iterative manner, in a very kind of agile manner, just kept implementing the solutions one after another until we got all of the problems solved and we had done things in a very particular order. And going through that process, you're learning, it's feeding you information back. And we would learn, we would act, we would move forward. Then we would learn, we'd see things, hear things, monitor things, and then we would make another decision. We'd figure out what was right, we'd make another decision and act and go. We'd learn. It was a very tight process through that. And so hopefully, my military example and my civilian example will maybe give you some ideas of how to maybe look at this, implement this, and use it as a way to help you stay in control, help you manage the chaos, give you a simple process for understanding what's going on, reviewing your options, analyzing these things so you know what's going to happen when you do make a decision and pull the trigger on something. You know what's going to happen. There's no surprises in the process, or at least they should be minimal. So you can get you as the leader in a process of making decisions, strategic leadership decisions, even tactical level leadership decisions in a very consistent manner. That'll allow you to help other people learn how to do this, help other people be on the same page so you can continue to work with everybody at the same pace, at the same time, under the same expectations. And at the end of the day, I think that's valuable because where the breakdowns in leadership happen to the people that are doing the work is sometimes they don't understand the process of making decisions. Sometimes the communication from decision makers to the people implementing things on the ground aren't clear, are misinterpreted, misunderstood, and there's gaps there. This one tool binds that together and helps you navigate through this to the best of your ability and keep everybody on the same page, help everybody make decisions in a more proactive manner where everybody knows the expectations. And when that happens, I think great things can continue to happen. Your people will be more productive. You will able to get through things easier and faster. You won't have to just start and stop things all the time. Try something, see if it works. You minimize that, get rid of that, and you can stay focused on the priorities at hand. And you can make faster, better quality decisions than your competitors. You can stay ahead of all the workforce forces that are working against you sometimes. Like this helps you overcome all of the different types of obstacles that you will face internally and externally, and overall help you and your organization be more successful. So, I hope this was of value to you. This is something that not a lot of people know about. Once they get introduced to it, they get trained up on it, and they start implementing it and kind of getting in the rhythm of using the OODA loop. It makes a tremendous difference. And so I encourage you to check that out. Feel free to reach out to me anytime if you have any questions or thoughts on how this works, and any questions you may have. Happy to help you there. And so that's it for today's episode. Powerful lesson. This can make or break organizations. So get used to the OODA loop, use the OODA loop. It will be a game changer for you. Next week, big episode in store. Next week, we're going to be talking about money. We're going to be talking about how to deal with business and revenue and profits in a whole different way of thinking. We've got a great expert on the show that's going to walk us through that and help us leverage our money to the best of our ability so we can be as successful as possible in our businesses. You don't want to miss the show. That's it for today. I hope you all have a great week.